Welcome to Mishnah study Masechet Shabbat Perek Gimel Mishnah Vav. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to discuss a few different types of Mukseh. This is actually an important source of Mukseh on Shabbat. This Mishnah is quoted, and it's really in the context of lighting a candle, right? Which is really the discussion of, I guess, really in the last Perek, and it continues into this Perek. So, En notnim kli tahateren lekabel tashem, and you're not allowed to place a plate right underneath the candle itself. Remember those ancient candles? So you can't put a plate underneath that candle, right? Take this plate, put it underneath the candle to accept the oil. Why? Because we have a concept of en mevatlim kli mehechano, right? When you have the oil that's in the candle itself, that oil is set aside, a ben hashmashot, for that candle. Right, it's going to, the candle is going to use, the wick is going to draw all the oil, and you're going to use that to light. Now, if some of that oil falls out onto the plate, now this plate becomes the plate becomes an object that's holding something that's mukseh, right? It becomes a basis, right? It becomes a basis ledavar asur, and by placing this plate underneath or on the side of the candle in order to catch this oil, you're in essence causing the plate to become useless on Shabbat. You're mivatel keli mehechano. And if you do so, you're not allowed to carry that plate. Okay. V'im netanom be'od yom mutar. Right? If you place it there from beforehand, from the day before on Friday, then it's mutar, right? Because you're not causing that plate to become useless on Shabbat. Right? You put it it's like any other table. You put it over there and it catches the oil. That's fine. So, okay, the Mishnah continues. You can't benefit from it because it's not mukhan. It's not something that's prepared. It's not something that was ready to use on Shabbat. It was set aside as mukseh, as oil for lighting the candle. So you can't use it for your salad dressing now. Now the Mishnah continues. Metaltelim ner yashan. You're allowed to carry a new candle, but not an old candle. So, okay, a new candle you're allowed to carry, meaning it's not lit, right? It's a new candle you haven't used before. It's not, it's brand new, right? It's a beautiful candle. You haven't lit it yet. Not an old one. What's the old one? Remember, these candles were made out of clay, pottery, and they would get soaked with oil. The second you use it, once you use it once, right, it becomes ma'us, becomes disgusting. And over here, according to Tanakama, which is Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, there's a concept of mukseh mahamat mius. It's mukseh because it is disgusting. This is another type of mukseh. By the way, the Beit Yosef, in his introduction to mukseh, lists all the types of mukseh. There's 5 types of mukseh, and he goes through them. This is one of them. One of them is mukseh mahamat mius. Now, Rabbi Shimon argues, and he says, "Kol hanerot mitaltilin chutz min haner hadolek b'Shabbat." No, you could carry all candles, even if it's yashan, even if it's an old one. Why? Because Rabbi Shimon does not have the concept of mukseh mahamat mius. He doesn't have mukseh on Shabbat, and Rabbi Shimon doesn't have any mukseh on Shabbat. And we're posek like Rabbi Shimon that there is no mukseh on Shabbat, except in a number of cases. Just parenthetically, when it comes to Yom Tov, where posek like Rabbi Yehuda has an interesting difference where Yom Tov is actually more strict than Shabbat, where when it comes to the laws of Mukseh. So Rabbi Shimon says you're allowed to carry any candle on Shabbat, even if it's an old candle, because he doesn't have the concept of Mukseh mahamat mius, except if it's lit on Shabbat, right? If it's lit on Shabbat, you can't carry it around because by carrying it, you're potentially putting it out. Anytime that light flickers, you're putting out that candle. Okay. So halacha in general is like Rabbi Shimon, but halacha is not like him when it comes to a candle that was lit before Shabbat. Right? If you lit a candle and it was lighting ben hashmashot, right? The halacha is that if something's lit, something was mukseh ben hashmashot, then it's going to be mukseh for the whole day. Right? It's a very important concept when it comes to mukseh. Migod et katzah ben hashmashot, et katzah de kol yoma. Right? The moment that it's mukseh, right? It's useless during Ben Hashmashot. A candle is useless during Ben Hashmashot, right? You can't touch that candle. If you touch it, you're extinguishing the flame, right? Any movement. So you're not allowed to touch that candle on Shabbat. Or if you tilt it in a way that it lights better, then you're lighting right? Igniting a flame, right? So you're not allowed to touch that candle, on Shabbat. And because it was lit b'nash mashot, now it's going to be mukseh for the entire day. Other than that, though, halacha would be like Rabbi Shimon. Now the Mishnah continues. You're allowed to place a plate underneath the candle itself. You have the candles, you put a plate underneath. In order to what? We say you're not allowed to do it in order to catch the oil. That was the beginning part of the Mishnah. Now at the end of the Mishnah, we say you're allowed to place it over there in order to catch the nitzotzot, right? The sparks. Okay, why? Because that's not really doing anything. Sparks en bo mamash. There's no real body to it. There's nothing to it, to a spark. But lo yiten chomayim. You can't put water in that plate. Why? Because if you do so, you're causing the flame to go out earlier, right? And this is what we call gram kibui, right? You're causing it to extinguish, right? You're not extinguishing yourself, but you're causing it to extinguish earlier by putting water there, right? You raise the water level higher, and it causes the flame to go out, and that would not be allowed. And halacha is, like we said, in general, halacha is like Rabbi Shimon when it comes to laws of Mukseh, but when it comes to something that was lit ben hashmashot, something that was Mukseh ben hashmashot, then it's going to be Mukseh for the entire Shabbat.